In our last lesson, we started looking at percents, and we know that percent is a special kind of ratio between a number and 100. So we took some percents, we converted them to fractions and decimals. Today, we are going to do the other kind of fun, starting with either a decimal or fraction and writing it as a percent. So first thing we're going to do is to take a decimal and change it to a percent. There are two ways to do that. One is a little bit easier than the other, and you can choose whichever one you want. So say we have the decimal 0.3. Now we want to change that to a percent. The first way is to do the fraction method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 3/10 as a fraction. And I just said what the answer was, 3/10. Now what I will do is I know that a percent is out of 100. Okay, remember that's what the percent sign means. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fraction. I'm going to see how I can change this 10 to 100. So how do I get from 10 to 100 using multiplication? And you might say to yourself, oh, that's easy, Mr. Schultz. I multiply by 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the denominator or the second term by 10 and do the same thing with the numerator. So now I have 30/100ths. 30/100ths. So I'm out of 100. Now what do I do? I take the numerator, I write that, and I add my percent sign. That's the first method. So we took this decimal, changed it to a fraction, got it to something out of 100, and then we took the numerator and put a percent sign. That's that way. I'm going to show you another example that it would not be as easy to do this. What if I had the decimal 0.7431? And the instructions were, write that as a percent. Okay. So if you remember the last lesson, if I had 35% and I wanted to change it into a decimal, what I did is I moved that decimal place over 2 places to the left. Now I am going to do the opposite. I'm going to move it 2 places to the right. So I'm going to take this, go 1, 2, and my decimal place is now right there. So it is 74.31%. Not too bad, huh? Not too bad. So now we are going to write a fraction as a percent. We kind of did that over here a little bit. But what if we had a fraction such as 4/5? Over here, we had a nice one, it had it over 10. It was easy, we just multiplied by 10. So now we have this, we have to figure out, how do we get to 100? 5 to 100, how do we get there? We multiply by 20, okay? So we are going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 20. 4 times 20 is 80, okay? Now what we learned over here, once we get something over 100, we take the numerator and we put the percent sign by it. So 80%, 4/5. We found that's the same as 81/100, which is 80%. What if we have a fraction that doesn't work so well? What about the fraction 3/8? 3/8. If I could do it this way, I would probably, but I can't multiply 8 times anything to get 100. Okay, nothing really nice at least. So here's what we have to do. We have to do our long division. I know that scares some people yet, but don't worry about it. So we know that the first or the top number, the numerator, always goes inside our division box. So if we're converting it to a decimal, there's where that decimal point is, and we bring it up. So now we start dividing. Be very careful not to lose any place values. 8 goes into 3 0 times. You can't do that. So 0 times 8 is 0. We subtract. So we're not done yet. We're going to add a 0 here and bring it down. So now we have 30. 8 goes into 30 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24, and we subtract. We get 6. Okay, we're not done yet. We add another 0, bring it down. 8 goes into 60. This one, it's starting to get a little weird. Okay, not a lot of people like to do this, but it goes 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. When we subtract, we get 4. We're still not done yet. Add another 0, bring it down. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. When we subtract, we get 0. We're done with the division. So now we have a decimal, 0.375. We are going to change this into a percent. So don't forget about what problem we're actually doing. We did all this work and we're still not done yet. So what we said over here is when we change a decimal to a percent, we are moving the decimal over 2 places to the right. So it's now right there, 37.5%. So today we learned how to change a decimal to a percent, another decimal to a percent just by moving the decimal place over, and then doing some weird fractions to percents. Have fun.